Good evening, guys, and happy Wednesday to all of our sunshiny faces. Happy Thanksgiving Eve, guys. So I got up kind of late, had my coffee, ended up like sitting around kind of like while I was having my coffee this morning. And then I never ended up sitting down again today until we ended up having dinner tonight. So I was up on my feet doing things all day today, getting ready for Thanksgiving. We ended up like deep cleaning the refrigerator because we needed to make as much room as possible for all of the food prep that we're doing for Thanksgiving, because we do that every year. Like, we just pre-make everything so that we don't have to worry about doing a lot of this stuff tomorrow and having to cram in cooking everything on Thanksgiving. And a lot of the recipes that I use are like make ahead. It's funny, there's actually my favorite mashed potato recipe is actually from a Taste of Home magazine that's from like the 90s. And I think that was like one of the first that my mom has a whole stack of them that she found at the thrift store that were between like, I think most of them were like in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, but they had a make ahead mashed potato recipe that I have used like for multiple years now. I actually think I made it one night just randomly for like dinner a long time ago, and then I started using it for Thanksgiving, and that's like my favorite recipe for mashed potatoes. But I kind of just like lightly look at the recipe. It uses like cream cheese, sour cream, and butter, and that's kind of the main stuff that I end up adding to it. But then I end up adding like my own seasonings and like, you know, kind of stuff. And honestly too, when I made it today, it tasted very bland. So I ended up adding more butter and more sour cream. I didn't want to add more cream cheese only because like I'd have to open up a whole nother like brick of cream cheese. So I was like, I'm just not gonna do that. But then I ended up adding more seasoning. It tastes pretty seasoned. But like my mac and cheese actually tasted more seasoned than the potatoes did. And I like seasoned mashed potatoes, not just like plain mashed potatoes and then like, you know, just like add butter on top of them. I like my mashed potatoes seasoned. So and again too, that was kind of what I was going for, like more like garlic kind of potatoes than just like plain potatoes. But then again too, I like the creaminess of them. I like mine to be very creamy. I like almost whip them like I do them with the I was gonna say food processor. No, I use the hand mixer to whip them sort of, but they're not like whipped potatoes because I think they're still like very dense because of like all the other ingredients in them. So like they're just not like really light, but they're not like, you know, I don't know. So anyways, I ended up again, we deep cleaned the refrigerator so that we could make room for mainly the mac and cheese and the mashed potatoes. Those are kind of the big things that do need to be made ahead because there's not a lot to you know, because there's a lot to do involving that. But it works out really well because like I made the mac and cheese first, and then I just re-washed like the pots that I made the pasta in, and then ended up boiling the potatoes in it. So it was like I kind of just, you know, like didn't dirty it twice. I just ended up washing it in between uses and then reused it again. So like I didn't have to like make a whole bunch of stuff and like dirty a whole bunch of dishes when I was just doing like a big batch of food that I was cooking. So that was kind of nice. But like I said, I pre-made the mac and cheese and the mashed potatoes. I think my mom already made the stuffing, and like I know she like vegetable prepped a lot of stuff too. Some of it was for the stuffing, which then she ended up making today, but like yesterday she prepped a lot of the vegetables too, because we're gonna do a vegetable tray, I think, and a handful of other things too that I think she kind of prepped stuff for as well. But we're doing the turkey tomorrow. Obviously we can't really cook that ahead of time. I mean, you could cook it ahead of time and then just kind of like reheat it, but we're gonna cook it tomorrow. I hate cooking turkeys though. They always seem to like aggravate my allergies or something like that. I have no clue, but I always feel really stuffed up when there's turkey cooking. Like I noticed this, I don't like into don't know if this has always been like I've always had this, but back like when I think I was in high school, I went over to my grandparents' house, and they like cooked the turkey for Thanksgiving, but then after that they cooked a second turkey for like leftovers to give to everybody, because we have a really big family, so like on my grandpa's side. And so my grandma made a second turkey just to give everybody so that they could have leftovers for, like, you know, again with the second turkey. So then like after dinner they cooked that turkey, which is leftover turkey. So they ended up though doing that, and I noticed, I was like, my allergies just seem really bad. And my grandparents live out like in the country, so I was kind of thinking it just had a lot more to do with like you know, like the pollen and, you know, just the country air and you know, that kind of thing. And I realized then, like, that's what I thought it was, but I remember it was like, it got kind of bad, where I was like really stuffed up. And like, to the point where I was like, I think I'm getting sick. And the thing was too, is that I was staying overnight actually, because we were going to go Black Friday shopping. So, and I think I was like, they were going to drop me off at home like over the weekend or something like that. And originally my mom was going to stay, and then she ended up not staying. So then I just ended up staying. But I remember being like, I like started to feel sick. And then actually when we left though to go to the Black Friday shopping was when I felt better. And then it seems like every year since though, I've noticed that it's like the same thing. Like I get really stuffed up, and I think it's allergy. But the same thing too with like cooking chicken. Now I normally, if I'm cooking like a whole chicken or something like that, I cook in the crock pot, so I don't think it's the same kind of thing. But for some reason it's the roasting of the turkey that like is the problem. And I don't think, again too, it's like a difference between turkey or chicken or something like that, because I know my mom, I think at one point she ended up making a small chicken, again within a handful of years recently, and she cooked it in a roaster in the oven though, but she roasted it, and I had the same thing. And I was like, I really think that it's like whenever poultry is cooking and roasting that this happens. But it's like a whole, like if it's just like a chicken breast, it doesn't seem like it, but it's like the whole thing. So I have no clue. I'm not really looking forward to this tomorrow. Like maybe too though, it's the seasonings. Maybe it's actually like the sage and like, you know, like the seasonings of it that's the problem. Or maybe too, it's like the drippings that cause like the smell and stuff like that. Because when you're roasting it, it does kind of smell a little, not like it's burning, but like, you know, like it's roasting. And I think that's the smell and like the whatever it's giving off that like causes me to get really stuffed up and feel like I have allergies really bad. I don't even know if it's like I have allergies to the turkey or if it's just like the roasting process. Again, I have no clue what it is, but it's really weird because I've noticed this now for several years, and but I only picked up on it like the last like maybe 2 or 3 years, kind of, that I was like, this seems like it's very consistent now, and I notice this every single Thanksgiving that it happens. So I could probably prepare ahead of time and take some like allergy medicine tomorrow, because now I know what's causing it. Like I think that it really has to be the turkey. But we cook our turkey in a roaster that I got from like an electric roaster, so that we don't have to use up the oven, so that we just warm up the food that we made today for the most part. So something easy though, like green bean casserole, where it's literally just throwing cans of green beans and cream of mushroom soup and some milk and, you know, like that kind of stuff into a you know, like a baking dish, and then throwing it in the oven. That is easy. That doesn't take much like effort or work. But like making the mac and cheese and doing all of that from scratch, and making the mashed potatoes and like all that stuff, even though again too, it didn't take me all that much time today, just like the process of it cooking took longer. Like I didn't really have to babysit it too much, other than kind of like making the cheese sauce for the mac and cheese a little bit. But like again too, I didn't have to do a lot of like hovering over it and like watching all the stuff and things like that. But you know, like the mashed potatoes, well, the potatoes were boiling, like I didn't have to watch it really, so that wasn't that big of a deal. But again too, it's a long process, so like if I would have done that tomorrow, it's going to take a long time for all that stuff to get done. And that's not to mention too the amount of dishes that go into all of that. like we ended up doing 2 loads of dishes today, and the sink is completely cleared though, which is good. So actually there might be one thing in the sink that's dirty. No, actually I think I fit everything in there, so I don't think there's anything right now in the sink that needs to be loaded up. But most likely first thing in the morning I will unload the dishwasher, because tomorrow's still going to be lots of like, you know, cooking things and stuff like that, and having to clean up afterwards and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, like I said, we ended up doing a lot of the prep work, but the reason we had to clean out the fridge too, and like deep clean the refrigerator, like, I mean, we took all the drawers out, scrubbed everything down too and stuff like that, because we were like, well, if we're gonna clean out the fridge, we might as well just, you know, go full-blown deep clean it. So we ended up doing that so that we could get everything cleaned and prepared for, you know, again, all the Thanksgiving stuff that we have to get in there, again, too, involved in the prepping for the Thanksgiving food. So, like I said, all that got done, and there's very minimal, I don't want to say minimal, most of it's, again, reheating, because, like, the mashed potatoes, like I was saying, the recipe is a make-ahead mashed potatoes. You can actually, I think, freeze them possibly, although I don't think potatoes freeze very well. But you can make them like ahead and then just warm them up when you want to actually eat it. And the same thing too with the mac and cheese. Like the mac and cheese recipe that I use anyway, it's a baked mac and cheese. But you can just make the mac and cheese, prepare it, and then just don't bake it, and then wait, and then again bake it the next day. And I've done that recipe that way multiple times, and it turns out perfect every time. So you don't have to worry about like consistency being weird or something like that. It works out. So like I was saying, all that got done today. It was just a very long process between all of the fridge cleaning, and then also to all of the dishes I had to do today. Like just in like, you know, like from cooking all the food and stuff like that, my hands are so dried out from the hot water, from the soap, everything like that. So making sure to moisturize as well today. But there was a lot to, again, get done today, and it did get done, which means that tomorrow will be a little bit easier. Like I said, when you prep ahead of time, it makes it better for not having to do as much later on. Like Matthew also made the cheesecake ahead of time, which is what we're having for dessert, so we don't have to worry about that as well. You know, like I said, those kind of things, just getting them done earlier and ahead of time makes it easier on Thanksgiving, because you don't have, also too, because our kitchen's small, we can't fit a million people in the kitchen at the same time, all trying to cook and bake, and, you know, like I said, trying to use the stove and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's just, tomorrow will just be, we throw everything that needs to be heated in the oven so that it's all warm at the same time, and that's how it'll end up working out. So, but like I said, the thing I love, and it is coming so handy for all of our like holidays and stuff like that, where we're doing like big, you know, like a turkey or big cuts of meat and stuff like that, is having that electric roaster, because now again too, all of the prepped food can just all be warmed up in the oven at the same time, and then the big cut of meat, or again turkey, you know, whatever it is, can be, you know, cooked in the roaster, and we don't have to worry about that. Plus on top of that too, it's also self-basting roaster, so we don't have to worry about actually basting the turkey and stuff like that. So it does that itself, keeps it very moist, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it works out really well for, you know, like I was saying, that the holidays. Plus on top of that too, I also got those roasting liners, which will be so helpful for cleanup tomorrow, so we don't have to worry about a whole ton of that too. Just to get into a lot of that stuff, I tried to think ahead, you know, and that's the other thing too, is always thinking ahead as to how to minimize the amount of work you have to do for a big holiday and all that kind of stuff. So that's why we got a lot of that stuff, you know, and got it done. We normally do like Chinette, we'll do fancy paper plates, but we'll do paper plates on Thanksgiving, like Chinette paper plates, because again too, minimize the amount of work that has to be done. We don't have to clean up after Thanksgiving and, you know, clean up all the dishes and stuff like that. Just make it a little bit easier. It's already, you're doing a lot of work. Keep it simple, you know. But again too, a lot of that stuff got done, and we're, you know, I gotta get to bed so I can get up and get ready for Thanksgiving tomorrow. So I'll see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, and I'll see y'all very soon, shiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.